Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon, and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. In today's video, I want to talk to you about how to get better. I want to talk to you about the answer, the beginning of your recovery. Now, I understand that what I'm going to say is not what many of you want to hear, that it's not your reality, it's different for you. I'm telling you though, once you get to this point, everything changes. Narcissists don't change. They don't, but you can. I understand that that is very unwelcome news to some of you. For me, when I first was learning about narcissism, that is not what I was going to accept. There is no way. My narcissist is the 1%. Have you seen that statistic? 99% of narcissists don't change. We all have the 1%. How optimistic is somebody? Let me say it this way. Nobody is as optimistic as somebody who is with a narcissist and sees that 1%. We all have it. I was absolutely convinced my ex was the 1%. Maybe other people have the 99%, but I know my ex is the 1%. After all, the real person my ex is kind, loving, generous. I've seen him that way. I used to think, I'm contemplating this. I've seen him that way. It's in him. Like it is in him. That's the real him. The person that he became, the person that he was now, well, you know what? He must be stressed out at work, or he has this problem or that problem. Whatever it is, we don't look at the reality. And it's difficult and it sucks. The reality is that the 1% does not exist. It's I don't know why it's even said, I guess because it's the thought of, well, you never know. All of us cling on to that, and it hurts us. It keeps us in a bad situation. The narcissist, the way they are at their cruelest, is the real them. I have searched to find this 1%, this person, anybody who, now hear me out, somebody who had narcissistic personality disorder, full blown, and now does not. I've searched for this person. Not somebody who used to be a jerk or had some narcissistic traits. I mean full blown NPD, like many of us are dealing with, and now don't. That person doesn't exist. And I challenge you, try to find this person, anybody. Find this 1%. Think about this. And I'm not saying you guys are bad at math, but 1% is 1 out of every 100. So 1 out of every 100 narcissists changes. That would be stupefying news. Like it would be just shocking news, and it would bring hope to all of us. The way to get better, there are ways to get better. Hoping, wishing, dreaming, praying that things will change is one way for you to try to change the narcissist. The way that really helps, though, is changing yourself. You cannot change anyone else. Now, hear me with this too, though. I understand the narcissist might tell you they want to change, right? In desperate times. My ex told me many times that he wanted to change. Joe's ex, same thing. They're going to change. They're going to be better. They're so sorry. Maybe they even cried. And you think of this and you look at them and you think, that's the real them. It came out. This is the real them. They really care. They love me. They love the kids. They want to change. They told me they want to change. And we cling on to that desperately, like a vice grip. Like this is the real them. And we go through hell longer hoping for that. Nobody wants to have to start their life over. Some of us, I was with my ex for 20 years. I have 2 kids. Another thing that happened to me, I was a stay-at-home mom. I lost career time for 20 years. I'm starting over 20 years later. It's not a good feeling. It's horrible. I would much rather have been able to have my ex change and move forward with my life. I held on to that hope for a long time. Now I understand the reality, and I share that with you on my channel. I'm not trying to be a downer. I am an optimist. I have a good attitude, but I need you to understand. I've already gone through this. You don't necessarily have to. Maybe you've been with your narcissist for 40 years. Maybe it's 2 years, whatever it is. The way to get better is to do the things you don't want to do, and that is working on yourself. We don't have any ability, none, no power to change anybody else. At best, we can influence them. But look at it this way. If you had cancer, could somebody else do chemotherapy for you? If you needed to lose weight, can somebody else lose that weight for you? If you committed a crime, can somebody else do your jail time? There are some things that are on us. Narcissism changes us. Someone else's narcissism changes us. I'll tell you a good thing about it though, and this, at the beginning, this doesn't feel that great, but I can tell you after having gone through it, it is good at the end. It changes us into our authentic selves. Today, I'm a much better person than I was before, because when you're with the narcissist, they change you. You know, when I think about the person that I was, I can remember how I was. But I was a miserable existence. You know, I don't recognize this woman anymore. Today, I'm authentic and free, and I'm able to love and have the life that I always wanted, because what I didn't realize at the time was that the narcissist was suffocating me. I could barely breathe. We are all responsible for our own lives, and it does get better. The reality, though, is with like anything else, you have to go through difficult times in order to get better. For whatever reason, pain is necessary. You know, I can look at this like in birth, right? If you think about birth, like here I am, I have 2 children, and when I gave birth to them, it was very painful. But I wonder how painful it is for the baby, you know? So for me, I had the epidural. It hurt, but it was bearable, it was manageable. Even before I had the epidural, like, you know, it hurts. But what about the poor baby? They're being squeezed and pushed. When my daughter, not to be graphic here, but when my daughter was born, I had pushed for 3.5 hours to get her out. She had a cone head. You know, her head was changed shape because it took so long. If you look at like a little baby chick, you know, have you ever seen a baby chick being born and, well, coming out of the egg, they peck and peck and peck, and they have the little beak out, and it looks so exhausting. By the time the chick is out, it's laying there. It looks like it's dead. It takes time to recover. However, if you said to yourself or said, you know what, I'm going to help this little chick, and you kind of pulled it out, you would kill it. For whatever reason, I don't know why it is. It's God's way, God's laws, or whatever you want to say, the universe. Pain is necessary to change. And if you're like me, you don't want to deal with that. No, my partner, whoever it is going to change, because I'm going to live the life that I want. And you are absolutely convinced that you have the power to change somebody else. I'll tell him, I'll tell her, we'll go through this together, whatever it takes. I'm willing to be there. You're going to do anything to hold on to a life that you want, that you believe you can have. The life you want, the life that you don't have to believe you can have, but that you can have, comes from focusing on yourself. You can change yourself, not a narcissist. And consider that. Consider, even if you still think, you know what, Sharon is so wrong. I do have that 1%. You know, my ex was, I keep saying ex, I'm thinking of my partner, whatever it is, was crying. They were so devastated. They couldn't believe that they hurt me. They didn't know. They know. The narcissist, when you see the narcissist on their worst day, that's the real them. You guys, I had a shocking moment in my situation, because I believed my ex would cry and tell me how sorry he was. And I believed that was the real him. You know, I would think back to times he was nice and kind and loving, and that was the real him. On the last day we were together, for finally, God help me, I was slapped across the face with reality. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but essentially I had to call the police because my ex would not leave the house. He hurt himself, right? He banged his own head on the wall. He was bleeding. Ambulance was there, and the police separated us. I could hear, but my ex, I was in the garage. He was outside on the driveway. I could hear him say this, and he said it like so genuinely. And I don't know what happened. Like I begged her, please stop, and she grabbed me and pushed me into the wall, and she kept banging my head, and it hurt so bad. And look, I'm bleeding. If my ex wasn't 3 times my size, I think I would have been arrested. The only thing that saved me was my size, because the police said, I don't think that you actually would have the ability to lift him and throw him into a wall. That saved me, but something changed inside of me. I saw the real him. It was the real him. It came out. When you are in a situation, and let me help you, please let me help you. This is what my channel is for. I've already been through this. I can help you. I can tell you the reality. If you can accept reality, if you can accept the truth, you can get better. You might think, well, I can't. It's been too long. I don't have the ability, or I'm too tired. I just want them to change. That doesn't change anything, right? If you had cancer, God forbid, I said this earlier, if you had cancer, could you just wish it away? You know what? I actually feel pretty good today, so I don't think I have it anymore. If you did that, you would never live your life. What you think today is impossible. I'm telling you, it is absolutely possible. If you want this bad enough, you can do it. Anybody can lose weight, right? Anybody can lose weight. It's a matter of actually using the steps to lose weight. You must eat less. You must if you're going to lose weight. When it comes to a disease, you must take the medicine. You must if you want to get better. It's like that with narcissism. You must focus on yourself. You must focus on changing yourself. There's the power. And I'm telling you, you will feel better. You'll feel better. You know, just if I go back to weight, say I had to lose 20 pounds. It seems so hard and so impossible, and I want to eat cookies and cake. But let's just say I was able to really, maintain a good diet. And after a week, I decided I lost 5 pounds. Not decided, I lost 5 pounds. My pants feel better. I feel better. That spurs you on. Think about that with narcissism. If you can begin to focus on just possibly believing it, just possibly asking yourself, what do I want in life? Not what can somebody else do for me? What can I do for me? Who can I be? What do I want? Because in some ways, narcissism gives you another chance at life. You don't need to be bogged down under 1,000-pound weight on your head. I'm going to tell you something that happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was a regular, ordinary day. Joe and my son were at the gym. Paris was doing schoolwork and I was cleaning the house. All of a sudden, I get this text from my neighbor, and it's a picture of my dog, and it said under it, "Do you know whose dog this is?" My immediate reaction was, "Where's Belle?" So I was confused. Where is this dog? So I'm looking around the house. Belle. I'm like calling her. I go to Paris's room. Do you have Belle with you? Where's Belle? I can't find Belle. And so I showed her the picture, and she was confused. And we're looking around, and Paris went outside because I suddenly realized, I was like, oh, Belle's outside. I let her go outside into the fenced backyard. So Paris goes outside, and she comes back horror-stricken. The gates open. Even with that, what? How? I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. This can't be. She must be here. Eventually, I realized she's not here. So I ran out of the house and I'm running down the street. I didn't have the car. Joe had the car. So I'm running down the street to try to save my dog, to go get my dog. And I call my neighbor. I'm talking to her while I'm running down the street. And she's like, oh, I don't actually have the dog. It's somebody else. So thank God we live in a neighborhood where people are actually incredibly kind and has sent text to everybody in the neighborhood to try to find her. So I knew she was okay. All right, somebody has her. And they were actually down at a vet right at that moment because they were trying to scan her to see if she had, a chip. And I'm sitting there, and actually Joe and my son came home at that time. Joe saw me running down the street and he pulled over and he's like, something's really wrong. What's the matter? I must have had this panic-stricken look on my face. So I get in the car and we drove down and we're just waiting at the neighbor's house for them to come home from the vet. When I got that dog, when I saw them pull in, it was just immediate relief. I had my dog. She was safe. Imagine if I had ignored it, right? Imagine if I got this text and I know this is silly, but let's just imagine this. So I get this text and no, it can't be. I know the dog's here. I know she's here. She must be hiding. She's going to come out later when it's time to eat. She'll come out, or tomorrow she'll come out, or whatever it is. If I was insisting that my dog was here, I took no action. I ignored the text. What happens then? I would have lost my dog because eventually somebody else would have adopted her. She would have been down to a humane society, but she wouldn't be in my arms. If we ignore reality, it doesn't help. It makes things worse. You will now be in pain longer. I would have went through my life so depressed about my dog, just horrible. Eventually, I would have had to accept that. All right, she's gone, and then I'll think back. That was her, though. I mean, I know this is silly. Nobody would do this, but I'm trying to use an example. The loss that you can have is compounded if you don't take action. I know this is not what you want to believe. I know desperately you want me to be wrong. And I'm so sorry. I want to be wrong for you too. I want this to be ridiculous. Of course, your narcissist will change. But in order to heal, in order to actually have a life, you must change. You must do the action. You have to. It's the only way. We have no power over anyone else. And I'll tell you something about narcissists, and this came, and I believe this is the truth. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. Many people believe this. I absolutely 100% believe this. Narcissists are evil. I think I'm going to do a video on that next week, but just hear me here. What is evil? Evil is the absence of good. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you are good. And I'm not saying we're perfect or that I'm this wonderful person or amazing, but I can tell you I know how to love. I know how to do things for my family. I know pain. I don't want to hurt anybody else. Narcissists are not like us. They're not like us. Narcissists don't want to change. They want to hoodwink you. They want you to think they're changing. So as much as you desperately, so desperately want the narcissist to change, and you would do anything for them to change, I'm telling you, you can cut through all that and get right to the starting point, and that is work on yourself. It does get better. The person that I am today is a far superior person. I was living this empty, shallow life where I had nothing. I was afraid all the time. I desperately wanted my ex to change. I wasn't being a good mother because I was so focused on somebody else changing. Once you begin to work on yourself, that's when everything changes. And no matter how long you're with a narcissist, no matter what your circumstances, don't believe the lie that your brain is telling you that it's different for you. It's not different for you. It gets better, but it begins with believing in your heart, knowing in your soul that they aren't going to change, but you can. Listen, I heard this quote the other day, and I think it's really important to remember. When you are living your life, you are not promised tomorrow. You're not promised tomorrow. You're promised today. You have today, right now. You have the reality of today. I guess you're not even promised today. Right now, you're alive, right? You have today. You're not promised anything else. But I can tell you, if you make a commitment to yourself to be the best person that you can be, the world responds to that, and you can have a good life. It's not over for you. Your happiness does not depend on a narcissist changing. Your happiness depends on you changing. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope it helped you. Like I said, I think I'm going to do a video on evil next week because I've been thinking about that a lot, and I think it's important to understand the reality of the narcissist. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.